Hi everyone, we're going to simplify rational expressions, and these are the four we're going to do. This is a basic introductory set while also being a review for transition to go to Algebra 2. So we'll get started with this one. On this one I'm going to go ahead and factor out a 2, and that's going to be a minus 6. And now I have to factor this one. And I have AA and probably 6 and 2. So minus 6 plus 2. Remember, do your ninja style. We need negative 12 and a negative 4. So what two numbers multiply give you negative 12, but when you add them or combine them, you get negative 4. And that would be negative 6 and 2. Because negative 6 times 2 is negative 12, but 2 minus 6 is negative 4. Now what we can do is cancel these two out, and that means we have 2 over a plus 2. Now also we have some restrictions here. So when you do your restrictions, this is 6 here, we know we cannot divide by 0. So you can't have your restrictions as a cannot be 6 and a cannot be negative 2. Because if it was, when you plug it in, you'll get 0 in the denominator. For example, if I plug in 6, I'll get, in the denominator, I'll get 6 minus 6, and 6 plus 2 is 8. But you get something in the denominator, and you cannot divide by 0 in mathematics. It's undefined. And the same thing's going to happen for negative 2. So basically, to find your restrictions, we do not want this to be 0. So let's go to the next one and see what we can do. In this one, my restriction is x cannot be 5. So I plug in 5 in here. That means I'm going to be dividing by 0, and I can't do that. So I do have this flip-flop thing going on. So anytime you see this, this equals negative 1. And I'll show you why. What I'm going to do is take my x minus 5 and my 5 minus x. And I'm going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by negative 1. Now when I do that, negative 1 divided by negative 1 is just 1. So I'm just rearranging this. Now what happens in the denominator, I'm going to keep it like this. I'm going to distribute my denominator. So I get negative 5 plus x. And if I rewrite that and switch these two around, I get x minus 5. So these cancel. So my answer is negative 1. So anytime you see this flip-flop like that with the numbers where they're interchanged, our answer is negative 1. At the same time, we cannot have x being 5. Okay, in this one, look at your denominator. Our denominator cannot be 0. So this is a cannot be 2. Because 2 minus 2 would get to be 0. So let's simplify this. I'm going to write this out twice. A minus 2 times a minus 2 over a minus 2. So I can cross that set out, and I'm left with a minus 2. I think I have one more. Okay, so this one is that trinomial thing, so let's look. We need a negative 12 here, and this is a 1. So we need a 1 here. You multiply two numbers, give you negative 12, but when you add them or combine them, you get a 1. So I think that's going to be 4 and negative 3. Because 4 times negative 3 is negative 12, but 4 minus 3 equals 1. So we're going to factor that as x plus 4 times x minus 3. Now, the denominator, I'm just going to factor out a 5. So you just kind of like dividing, but don't lose the 5. So it's going to be k plus 4. So looking at this, I do not want my denominator to equal 0. So k is my restriction. K cannot be negative 4. That's your restriction. And now I can cross this out. And my final answer is x minus 3 over 5. All right? And that's all. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.